Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Fast moving conditions out here, trade winds blowing, bringing in a lot of moisture off and on. Very little sun the past few days, but as you can see, getting a peek of it now and then. But looking at my logs on the Victron app, I think I got a problem on an array. So I think I was just telling you guys how before it got dark the last several days, how everything was getting fully topped off solar wise. So now I'm hiking up to the shop. I need a multimeter to figure this out, and I'm gonna have to crawl through the jungle for sure. All right, gonna need this and some patience, because I'm pretty sure I got some dead panels again. So yeah, I've been under some dark conditions last few days, and of course everything kind of drops down on the batteries that way. Had a ruckus last night, and laying in bed, heard a crash bang on the roof, some chickens making noise. I'm not sure what happened, but got one less chicken this morning, so the only thing I can figure out is maybe a feral cat, big old tomcat, which I have seen around here kind of stalking them. Definitely got one of those chicks last night. So yeah, it's always some excitement out here. But anyway, I've been watching this log the past couple of days on one of my systems, and when I looked at the max voltage and the max PV watts coming in, it was way lower than it should have been on a 500 watt array. And I'll try and give you a peek at these little kids now too. Lost one of them last night. Down to 4 plus the mother, so 5 total. But one of those got nabbed last night 20 feet off the ground. And the only predator that I think could have done that out here would be one of those mean old feral tomcats. But yeah, they're a little skittish this morning. But anyway, back to the solar panels. Okay, so here's the system I'm talking about. I call it my freezer system on my Victron app log. I've got 500 watts of solar tied in series, 5 100 watt panels coming through that 130 from Victron. And 24/7 it runs this REDODO 300 amp hour. And I've just been noticing that, over the past several days, it just keeps going down, 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 even though it hasn't been great solar charging conditions. But I'll show you on the log why it's getting my concern. So here's what it looks like on my log. I just call it my freezer because that's all it's running right now. We'll click that on real quick. And so that's about the most I've seen right now, 500 watts in full sun. That's not good right there. And if I turn it around and give you a little bit different look here, get that. Let's go to the history real quick. And you can see the last, I'm looking down at the battery, or let's look at the PV max, the second one down on the left, and you can see for the past 3 days it's never cracked 268 watts of solar going in there. Even when I've had a momentary burst of sun, that should be much higher. And even going further back, in the past week, nothing over 391 in about 10 days. If I go a little further, 387, 381. I have to go back all the way for how many days is that? 14 days ago, 2 weeks ago, before I saw anything over 400 watts coming in. So yeah, the conditions have been changing a little bit. Like I said, it's been darker, but then look at those, you know, the last, what, 5 days. And I just ran out there when those panels were in full sun, and it was only pulling like 260 some watts. So not good. And I would expect also that, let's see, on my, let's do that again and show you guys, I would have expected my voltage to be much higher as well. I was shooting 46-ish volts. So, and of course now there's a little cloud cover, but yeah, I'm gonna find some dead panels, almost guaranteed. All right, so before I crawl underneath the array, let's shut those panels off. And as you can see, it's been a minute since I've been out here with my weed whacker, so I gotta go in the back of that array, which is deeper than what this is, and crawl in there, and I gotta start testing that top string. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 watts. That's what's feeding that system. I do see some separation in here, you know, so we'll see what I find. I have to crawl through this, as you can see, and probably going to get bit by some fire ants today for sure. All right, we'll see what the first panel looks like. I got it cleared out. I can disconnect those two right there and see what the first panel reads voltage-wise. All right, first panel. 17.86 volts. Okay, it's not this panel. All right, got the second panel tied up here. 18.18 volts. Okay, it's not the second panel. This is difficult. I'm always hoping it's the first couple of panels, but we'll keep going down the line. All right, I got panel number 3 in my hands here. 17.1 volts. Give or take. Yeah. All right. All right. Got this fourth panel now. Oh, shoot. And I dropped it. Damn it. Here, try that again. Fourth panel. 18.4-ish volts. Okay. All right. Got the fifth and last panel here. Yeah, and it's the only one not registering quite right. Now, when I first connected it, I saw 19 volts. I mean, momentarily, and then it always reverts back to this. I'll see if I can catch that for you. Oh, okay, so there it is. Yeah, 19 point, now it's not jumping that back down to 1. So I'm not finding a truly dead panel. Now I'm confused. So these first 4 panels here, and I did manage to get them straightened up while I was under there, tightened down good. The first 4 are all new Powers, which I've had some issues with. And then the last one here, which as you can see is a different size, same ratings, is a Bouge RV panel. These 5 have all been tied in series for a few years, never had an issue. And back in the house, and it's, yeah, it continues to drop. And right now, those 500 watts doing 97, near 100. Let's just go to comparison. Let's go to the 48 volt system, which was those 700 watts. Oh, hell. We'll do it this way for the comparison. Okay, so there's the freezer, 89 watts coming in off 500. And for comparison, that array that was underneath is feeding my 48 volt system. It's got 700 watts. So, yeah. And you can see only 200 watts coming in off of 700. But when the sun comes out, which is not cooperating at the moment, but so I guess just between the 500 watt array, which is that bottom one, and the 700 watt array, which is that Vatterer, there's only just a little over 100-watt difference. And I did not find one thing wrong with one of those solar panels, which I totally expected to find a dead one again. I'll wait a minute and see if we can't get you really nice sun break. Pretty dark out there right now though. I just want to show you the difference in voltage. Let's go to that 48 volt system, 700 watts in series. Yeah, and look at that voltage, you know, way better, way higher. 114. And if I go back to the freezer, that's the thing. Yeah, only 500 watts in series, only 46 volts. That should be higher. Okay, you can see we're getting a little bit better sun. I saw 500 watts there. Now it's going to go away, of course, but saw 500 and barely was at 200 there. Or excuse me, it was barely at 200 there. So yeah, not the greatest conditions to be chasing this around right now because they're so fast moving with those trade winds. A super dark cloud rolls by, takes everything down, and then I'm waiting for a sunburst. And just for comparison again, I can choose any one of these two to compare the voltage. So this is the bottom string. Let's go to Chin's bottom string. And now this has 500 watts tied in series. And you can see the voltage is way higher, about what I'd expect on that freezer system. You know, there we are, same thing. You know, not great conditions, of course, but the voltage is way higher. 70 plus volts on 500 in series. And so that's looking good. And let's go to the top string and compare that as well, which is this one right here, as you can see. And, you know, 70-ish volts as well there. Not great sun, of course, but still, it's that voltage. Yeah, another live shot at the freezer one, which we're trying to diagnose. You know, basically 30 volts less than other strings of 500 watts tied in series. Two others are the Chins, where each of those strings was running, you know, as we saw, 70 plus volts on the average. So this one's way off. So yeah, I'm gonna keep losing ground on this battery for sure. All right, I brought my tablet out here. I hopefully have the range to see that freezer, and I do. Okay, so 77 watts coming in. The only panel that I got a wonky reading from was that Bouge RV right there. The other four looked pretty good. I'm gonna disconnect that and make this one the end of the string here and see if the voltage won't change. All right, I got the Bouge RV, which was the last one in the string, disconnected, and now I've got the fourth one tied up. And right away, the voltage, I did see it jump up quite a bit, about more where I would expect. I'm still on the freezer, only 50 some watts coming in. I'll wait for a sun break to see if that changes, but yeah. Okay, exercising a lot of patience here. Oh shoot, it was in full sun. It was breaking over 300 watts, but that voltage wasn't really changing. And just as a comparison again, so now of course, as I start to film and the dark clouds roll in, but that 700 watt string on the Vatterer is outperforming the 500 watt string for the freezer by 2.5 times, right? Got about near 100 watts there, 220 there, and more time. That voltage is, yeah, up at 112 volts there on the 700 watts, even though, as you can see, not great conditions, but the wattages or the volts are where they need to be. And then come back here on this system here. Won't budge over that mid 40 volt. Even when I saw it just momentarily ago, if I go to the history, see if it caught what it was when it was in full sun a minute ago. Well, it shows 311, and that's about what I saw before I clicked the camera on. Yeah, it makes it challenging in these conditions where I'm not getting anything sustained, little peaks of sun right there. Then I quickly jump into action, and then dark clouds, and it makes it hard. But the thing that really sticks out to me is that voltage is not as high as I would expect, as I showed you on that chin system. Those 500, 2 different strings of 500 watts. The voltage is up where this used to be, and yet I didn't find a dead panel. I really was expecting totally to find a dead panel in that string, and I could not. If I could just get some better conditions sustained, I might be able to diagnose this a little quicker, because if I go back 10 days or so, when I was really getting up to full charge basically every day, very, very close. I mean, you can see I was 13.9, 13.9, 13.9, pretty much getting a absolute full charge every day. And then if I look at the max PV on those days, as high as in the 390s right there, and as hot as those days were in sustained sunshine, that's about what I'd expect to lose when the panels are real hot on a 500 watt array, 100 watts or so. That's normal. And then, like I said, in the past few days, I haven't had those kind of conditions, obviously. And it makes it just harder to really get a good handle on what's going on here. Except the voltage I'm suspicious of, but yet when I tested every one of those panels, as you saw, didn't find anything completely out of whack that would say, oh, yank this panel out and put a new one in, which I would have been happy to do. So yeah, and the max we've seen today is, well, that's interesting, isn't it? It has now switched over to, instead of showing 311, it shows 268, but I did see it over 300, but it didn't register. Okay, so let's look at the voltage now. So here's the highest we've registered today, 51.36, and you can see, and then let's see how far back I have to go. I'll go back about 10 days. Okay, well there, 5 days ago, I was up to 68 volts. The day before that, 6 days ago, 72. So this is all looking good. Go back into when the sun was really ripping as high as 92 volts, and 70s, 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 60s. All that looks good, right? I'm all the way back now. Okay, so this is all looking good. And I've gone back as far as it will scroll back right now for the past 30 days. 30 days ago, it was at 93 volts, 90s all the way down. Started dropping a little bit there on day 21 into the 80s, then down into the 70s. And it ran on the 70s till 16 days ago. And then down into the 60s for a few days. One more peak into the 70s. There's a 92, and that was only 9 days ago. And let's see, and then it cruised around in the 60s and 70s, and then right here, which was 4 days ago, 50, 3 volts, 57, 54, 49, and 51. All right, so now let's go into the trends, see if we can find anything during these time frames. And so I am at 14 days ago, right here, where you can see it was cruising in the, 60s as high as 75. It was staying way up there, right? Way up there. And of course, these were good sunny days, but now this all looks about like what I would expect it to look like until we get to right here. It starts dropping down, still in the 60s, like we looked just a minute ago on the other history part. And then right here, which 14 days ago, let's see, that was about more like it, yeah. And then it just started hovering only in the 46 volts, roughly. And right here now we're looking at 1 month's worth, right? So, getting up there like we saw, up at 90-ish, 80 volts, about like and then down, down, and now having a hard time breaking out of there for no known reason. So let me get back in Bluetooth range for some of those other devices, and we'll take a 30-day peek at the Vator 48 volt battery and the chins and see if we see that kind of fluctuation. So, which would make me say, well, it's not due to the sunnier days changing that voltage, right? Okay, let's look at this 48 volt battery for 30 days and see what it looks like. Okay, I'm on the trends now for the past 30 days of this 48 volt system. Yeah, and you can see, it's up in the 120 volts or so, like we saw that it was doing in real time a minute ago. So for the whole month, that's what that looks like. I can even go to 60 days worth on this battery. There's 60 days. Nothing crazy. Never really saw it dip below, 111 volts. And if we go to the live shot of it right now, there it is, 111, 13, fluctuating a little bit, of course. Only 155 watts coming in on 700 watts. So let's take a look at that same time frame on these. And we'll look at this one here, which is the top string of 500 watts. Currently only 100 watts coming in there, but the voltage, 70-ish volts. And let's look at a longer history of that. Okay, we're looking at the past 30 days, as you can see there. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. 65 plus volts for an entire month, which totally jives under these kind of, overcast conditions. Only 96 watts, but right in there, the way it should look and the way it has looked for months. And now let's take a look at this bottom string here. Roughly the same, right? 103 watts coming in, 75 volts. And looking at the past 30 days for this one, beautiful. Up in the mid 70 volts, low 70s, mid 70s. Beautiful. Okay, one more live look, only 79 watts coming in off those 500 watts worth of panels and still just hovering there. So now that we've eliminated, it doesn't, it's not the darker days that did that. The voltage shouldn't have done this. Here again, we're looking at 30 days worth of the log on this system here, Everything looks good. I've gone back, I've checked all my connections. Everything's nice and tight. Everything looks good. So what started happening here in the past, 30 days? There, 30 days ago, it was doing just like all the other strings that I'm running out here. Then there was a significant drop in voltage. And again, we're looking at the solar voltage. Significant drop from, you know, 80-ish, some volts, 80, 90. I mean, 103 is the top. So anyway, you know, and if we go to 60 days, you can see, you know, everything has been doing perfectly on this. And I mean for like over 2 years. Everything's good. Little bit of a drop right there, you know, more than 30 days ago. Then it rebounded. So yeah, this is 60 days worth. But here, from a month ago, if we go back to the month, there's a month. Significant drop in voltage, another significant drop, and it does not seem to be going past that 45, 46, 47 volts now. Yeah. So as is often the case out here, when I start to make a video and think I'm going to show you guys something that I figured out, it didn't pan out that way. So, and again, as I do often in my trials and tribulations out here, I'm going to ask you guys for a little help, because I totally expected that I was going to go out there one by one, check those solar panels, and find 1 or 2 dead panels, which I have done in the past. You know, we flushed out a couple of dead ones. I even have since purchased a soldering kit to repair those, and I thought, well, there'll be another great video, and now I'll just add more dead panels to that mix of let's repair some of these and get them back into action. But totally expected to find a dead panel or 2, did not. Gone back and as much research as I can figure to look at, and as you all saw, the voltage drop, and I've checked everything I can think of. I have no understanding or reasoning of what is causing that voltage drop. Part of my brain said, oh, maybe, you know, maybe the voltage would go up, you know, as the sun came out and really started beating on those panels. But, you know, we kind of eliminated that, right? Because all my strings are in the same conditions right now. And we showed how, like, over the past 60 days, none of those have fluctuated worth mentioning. But that freezer unit, yeah, something's wrong there. All right, you guys. I really expected to be showing you guys something with a solution. So it goes. I'll stay on it. I'll see what you guys say for sure. All right, I'm huffing and puffing. Been crawling around on the jungle. Haven't been bit by a fire ant yet. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Aloha, everybody. Ay. You just never know what you're going to get. So as I sit here and cool off with some lemonade, you know, sometimes when you're hot and heavy in a project, and now that I'm sitting here, did I overlook something that should be obvious? Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to get this video out there and then start reading your comments, because maybe I did. I don't know. But I got to rest now.